For today's review, we are looking at Hourman. Now, as usual, with how I like to start most of my DC figure reviews, let's take a quick look at the data profile card that is included to find out who Hourman is as a character. And as you can see, there is this beautiful comic book artwork of Hourman in that older style of how they used to draw superhero characters back in the day. Pretty cool. His real name is Rex Tyler, and it reads, "Several heroes have taken the code name Hourman. The first was brilliant chemist Rex Tyler, who invented a vitamin he called Merratio. I think that's how you pronounce that. It gave Rex superpowers, but only for 1 hour. Donning a distinctive caped and hooded costume, Rex was a founding member of the Justice Society of America. Unfortunately, he became addicted to Merratio and was unable to develop a non-addictive version. Rex was almost killed by time-warping villain Extant during 0 Hour, but android Hourman Matthew Tyler switched places to save him. Now, I've never read 0 Hour, so I have no clue what happens in that story, and I did not know that there have been many other heroes that have had the code name Hourman. This is the first time I've learned of this information. I have been familiar with this character because, he's part of JSA. Now, let's talk about the next thing. This is a Target exclusive gold label, so if you are trying to hunt for this in the store, let me actually show the barcode number from the bottom of the box if you need it. There it is. I did make a post a while ago, probably just a few days ago, where I did have the links for the online option as well. I will post the link for this particular figure in the description below if you want to order this online and not go to the store to hunt for it. So I will do that after I record this review. And now, let's talk about accessories. There are no accessories with this figure. That's the first thing right there. There is no interchangeable hands. Nothing. All you get is just the data profile card and, of course, the regular DC figure stand, which those are always included, so I don't count those as accessories. And with that said, let's talk about the figure. So, right off the bat, you will notice that this is a reuse of the Spectre body buck. And, I don't really blame them for reusing this body buck because, as you can see, the cape that is sculpted here for this figure does work. If we take a look at the picture here from the card, you can see that there is a little collar in his cape while he's wearing a hood. So the reuse of the cape mold is not a bad thing, but it would have been nice if it was a cloth wired cape over this sort of pre-posed windswept cape, because what I don't like about these pre-posed capes sometimes is that depending on how it's posed, it does hinder the type of poses you can do with the figure, right? If it was like a neutral position where the cape is just hanging downward, yeah, it's not too bad. But in this case, because it is windswept, well, depending on the angle and how you take the photos with these figures, if you are into figure photography, it's not the greatest. So that's the one thing I don't like about these pre-posed soft PVC capes. So it would have been nice if it was cloth wired, since they've been using cloth wired for a lot of their figures recently. So, and now let's talk about the new things on this figure, because there are a few things that they did change, kind of. So the first thing, of course, is the head sculpt. And if you did see my post that I made, I believe a day or two ago, I did say that this kind of reminded me of the Robert Pattinson Batman figure for some reason. I don't know why. Here, let's bring in that figure, okay? So you got Hourman's face sculpt. I don't know why it reminded me of this. It just did. So they don't look similar, but maybe it's just me. I think it's just me, okay? So for some reason, this head sculpt reminded me of this guy. So there's that little fun fact. But yeah, it's not a bad head sculpt. It's pretty cool. I do like the way that it's sculpted. You can see his ears in there as well, so his mask doesn't really cover the entire portion of his face, only just the eyes. And I wish the hoodie, of course, was able to pull back. Again, if it was a cloth, material, it would have been. But yeah, it's not too bad. So that is a new part right there. This part right here, the hourglass, is sculpted. It is not printed on because the hourglass is a separate thing that is part of his costume. It's like a pendant that he wears, as you can see. And of course, down here, his belt area is also a new piece for this figure. I don't think this has ever been used on any other figure before, not to my knowledge, so that's new. And down here by the legs, they did retool this bottom part a little bit for his boots, or whatever you want to call these. So yeah, so there are a little bit of some new parts on here, but everything else is pretty much the same, right? The cape mold is the same. The body buck here is also the same. So, you know, it has the texturing, as you can see. So it's not just like a flat black color paint. The texturing does add to it to make it look nicer. This part right here is also the same as well. So you can see the same texture lines down here with the legs up to this part of the lower part of his legs. It's all the same. So that's pretty much the aesthetics for this figure. There's really nothing else to talk about because it's mostly reuse with just a few new parts that were added. And now let's talk about the articulation of this figure. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So you're not going to get much movement with his head sculpt, unfortunately, because the fact that it is underneath the hood, there is no articulation except for maybe looking up or kind of looking down, but yeah, it doesn't really move. It does like swivel, I guess, a little bit, but you're not really turning that head too much because of the fact that his hoodie is going to hinder most of the articulation anyways. So there's that. His arms can go out into a T-pose, kinda. Not too bad. They can swing outward. They can swing upward, but of course this part of his cape does hinder the articulation. He does have double jointed in his arms. Let me use this side because this side is looser. So as you can see, it's there, right? He does have the upper swivel by the bicep. He does have swivel down here by the hands, and of course wrist articulation and swivel by the wrist joint. So, you know, the usual articulation with the arms. For his upper torso, there is a little bit of movement. It is tight because this copy is new. Doesn't really lean forward too much, so that's a bummer. It leans back a little bit, but also not that great. As for the bottom part of his waist area, that also moves, but of course, it is very tight as I'm trying to speak. And yeah, not the greatest when it comes to articulation for this particular body buck. So for his legs, they can spread out this much. It's not too bad. You know, at least he can actually spread out his legs. So if you want to get him into some sort of action pose, you can. And there is, I believe, upward thigh swivel. With this leg, there is. That's pretty cool. So it does work. On this side, it also works. So you do get the upward thigh swivels there. He can kick out. I say pretty okay. That's not bad because some figures can't even kick out that much. So that's pretty good. So this part right here is soft enough for the legs to kick out. He does have double jointed in the legs. I'm going to use this side because this side was pre-posed in the packaging. So as you can see, there is the double joint. And he does have the swivel in the feet down here. And of course, articulation and toe articulation as well. So, you know, this is the standard articulation with most DC Multiverse figures from Mcfarlane Toys. And that is basically all the articulation on this figure. Now let's bring in the other figure that he shares the same body buck with. So let me just get him to stand. Let's put him right there. Here he is next to Spectre. And as you can see, there are quite some similarities between these two figures right away, right? The cape, the diaper piece, whatever you want to call this, the body buck, the arms, the legs. The hands, I think, are different, though. Let me actually take a closer look. Oh, the hands are different, actually. So they did give him these new hands that are bigger. So it seems like these are different pieces. And I do apologize that the coloring of my video keeps changing in saturations. For some reason, whenever I record like anything with like a lot of yellow in it, it just does this. I don't know if there's a way to fix that, but yeah, that's something I noticed. So the differences between these two figures are mainly just a few things, right? Like as you can see down here, he doesn't have those sort of boots. But outside of that, It's just the colors and the head sculpt and just a few minor things that are different. So yeah, not too you know, far off from each other. So there's that comparison. And now let's have him next to some of the members of the JSA. So I'm going to zoom out because the color saturation is not great. Let me just leave him there. Okay, let's start with, of course, Jay Garrick. And that is pretty cool to see these two characters together. It's really nice to be able to build out this team. That is what I'm happy about. This team is coming together in a very interesting way. Now, as I said before in a post that I made a while ago, I am missing Hourman in terms of like a comic version. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to track that down and get a copy of, but if I do, that'll be cool because I can at least have that for this team. Hopefully I can still get one. So there's Jay Garrick. Here he is next to Alan Scott Green Lantern. And yeah, not bad. Like, it's starting to look good. So there's that guy. And who should we put in next? Of course, here he is next to Mr. Terrific, who we recently looked at. So pretty cool. Another member of this team. Now, let's take another Target Gold Label exclusive that came out a while ago. Probably just 2 months ago, I would say. Wildcat. And again, this is a different version of Wildcat that I think a lot of people are not really familiar with when it comes to his costume design. But it works with this sort of team that we have going on here because it is still a comic version of the character. So it does fit in. And then here's Commander Steel. And I just realized 3 of these figures were all Target exclusive gold labels for the JSA. that's actually interesting. Okay. Because this was also one as well that came out last year. So yeah. And of course, last but not least with this team, we got to have Power Girl. And yeah, pretty freaking cool. This is shaping up to be a really cool team, like what I said in my Mr. Terrific review. And I'm just very happy to be able to build out this team in some capacity. And of course, if you did not see my short that I posted on Sunday, well, on the day that I found this figure, I did find that as well in the same Target. So it was just a crazy day, and I'm still trying to process, like, if any of this is real. So, all right, and here we have him next to one more figure. Let me just bring him in for fun. Because, I said he looks like him. So might as well have, these two figures next to each other. Let me see if he can stand. Let me kind of fix up his legs. And here he is next to the Robert Pattinson Batman for fun. Yeah, I don't know why his face sculpt reminded me of the Robert Pattinson Batman, but it does. So, yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah, they don't fit in together because, this is live action. So, and now, if you want to see what all of them look like together again, let me just kind of put them in the center. Let me kind of set this all up. Because I did this with the Mr. Terrific review. Might as well do it here as well. So let's put Power Girl in the back. Let's have him in the center. Let's have Jay Garrick right around here. Let's put Alan Scott on this side. I'm going to put Commander Steel over here. I'm hoping that they all fit in the camera because, someone's not going to fit in here. Yeah, somebody's not going to fit. Okay. And then you got Wildcat. So, yeah, he's going to block Commander Steel. But you can see what this team is starting to look like, right? Like, it's pretty cool. And I think you can technically count Spectre as well, because I remember reading something that Spectre is also a member of the JSA. I'm not too sure, but, you technically can include him as well in this team. So, yeah. This is really freaking cool. I'm very happy to have 2 new members of the JSA in this collection. Of course, recently I also got this figure as well. So this is just a good timing with the releases of this figure. And yeah, it's a good pickup if you do like the JSA characters. If you want to kind of have this sort of team on your shelf, I recommend this figure. And yeah, it's a reuse of an existing body buck, but in this case, it works for this figure. It's not too bad. The only thing that it just lacks is just accessories, which is not great because this is a $22.99 figure. So with tax, you're paying around like $25. And to have no accessories at all for the figure, I think is not a good thing. So, you know, in this case, if he did come with like some interchangeable hands, it would have been nice. But, you know, this is not the first time Mcfarlane has released figures with no accessories. And it is what it is, unfortunately. And if you found today's review of Hourman informative, do give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel to see more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, you can. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.